this morning at about 7 a.m. my time Pacific, we did a video showing all of the plane traffic, and one of the first videos we show was a 12-hour time lapse of essentially all of the plane traffic from Delta, United, from US, from American Airlines, all of these airlines, a 12-hour time lapse of essentially all of these doing a ground stop.
Yeah,
so
it was freaky.
All the planes, and then they just disappear.
I think I saw that was like 3 different simulations of it, and it was freaky how quickly everything just went. And for the people that are living under a rock and don't know who you are, this is Adam Marfugel from Marfugel TV and News, someone who has been a friend of mine, and everybody, all the Israelites, as they say, we all love Adam, and I'm glad that you're here, man. And I got to tell you something, this is really weird, okay? Because I woke up this morning excited about one thing, and that was to talk to you, okay? And I was very excited about it, but I saw that this, all of a sudden, this CrowdStrike, they did this update, and it just, everything shut down. And I was immediately overwhelmed with the idea that, didn't I do a show about something like this? And it was weird because the show that I did, you were in it. You were in it. It was from 13 months ago. I think I don't know if I sent you this clip. I think I sent you it was like a 2-minute clip of a video I did, and it was from 13 months ago. And what's strange about the whole thing is that we were talking about communications going down because you were having a problem at the time with everything just kind of was shutting down. And the video was actually about communications going down and a couple of other weird things. Trump was in it. He-Man was in it, of all things, He-Man, which is weird because right now everybody's calling J.D. Vance He-Man. They're calling it the He-Man Woman Haters Club. Yeah, isn't that weird? And the Schumann resonance supposedly was off the chart. That was something that I saw going around. I don't know if you saw it, but that was in the video too. So you had all these weird things, and Trump was saying the words, "The seals have been loosed. The seal's been loosed." So I took that and I went right into Revelation, and for whatever reason, I extrapolated the idea that perhaps there's going to be some kind of communication going down because really the communication problem is with God for the space of 30 minutes. But in the video, I was blown away because not only do all these things coincide with that, but you were in the video. I was talking about you, and here we are. This is just mind blowing. This is like a God timing thing.
But you just don't. But the seal is now broken. The seal is now broken.
So I found it very interesting that the Trumpster says the seal is broken, which, of course, I think to myself of the last seal, the 7th seal. The 7th seal that's found in the book of Revelation, chapter 8. And what do I read? And when he opened the 7th seal, there was silence in heaven about the space of a half an hour. And I saw 7 angels which stood before God, and to them were given 7 trumpets. This is when the plagues of the earth are poured out. But the 7th seal that's broken, there's silence in heaven. And I think to myself, what if this has to do with communications going down? Because I was just watching Adam's show, Marfugel News, Marfugel TV. You check it out. Adam, he texts me and he's like, "Oh, I'm having problems. I only have the phone. I only have access to the phone. Everything's down because communications have gone down in many, many areas." And I think to myself, silence in heaven for the span of a half an hour. And we know, with God, a day is like 1,000 years. So a half an hour could be some time. I don't think this is real math that we need to put together with a calculator or anything else, but I've tried to figure it out, and I wouldn't recommend it. With so many things happening in the world, could that be the next thing? Maybe that's the case. But then I think to myself, well, hang on a second. When that plague comes, when the darkness comes to Egypt, right before Israel is set free, this is in Moses' day when Moses delivers all the slaves from Egypt, which is symbolic of all of us being set free from this beast system, right? He-Man enters the Diablo game, just like Moses entered Egypt. It's a symbol. Well, when the lights went out everywhere, when the comms went out everywhere, Israel's house was okay. They had the lights still on. The communication is still there. Of course, the silence from heaven for a span of a half an hour really has to do with not hearing the word of God and everything else. What did you think when this first hit? Like, what was the first thing going through your mind?
Well, so first it was the airline. So it first, the big news, or at least a lot of the media that came out about it, was about the airlines. If you were at an airport, you didn't even have the screens that actually said delayed. Those screens were the blue screens of death. So people think about how scary that is too. You're in an airport where every screen across the airport goes a blue screen of death. To me, that would be terrifying, because especially most of us don't really get how, where these screens, we don't think of these screens as basically a PC somewhere.
Yeah, right.
That blue screen of death hits. Airlines, of course, I believe it was first in Australia, then it was spotted in UK, then it was in the US. It started spreading, right?
Went everywhere.
Then it affected banks. Then it affected transactions. It affected 911 systems. People were not able to call. Multiple states are down. There are still issues with states, so people can't even call 911 if they have an emergency. And then of course telecommunications, different things. So CrowdStrike, if you didn't know, you might know.
They're connected to the forum, the World Economic Forum, and I don't know.
And there was a scandal. There was a huge scandal back with the former president that all went down as well. So
Klaus, and he was saying there's going to be a massive outage. That is going to be the next thing. I don't know if you saw that video where Klaus Schwab, where he was saying that's going to be the next pandemic.
Yeah, and what we saw with this, so say if this all gets fixed and everything's back to normal. This was a visualization for the majority of the people across the planet, how an SHTF or a digital SHTF would go down.
Right.
We're seeing it spread all over the place. As far as, like I said, all of this started going down, telecommunications, all these things. CrowdStrike is not for civilians. Like, you might know McAfee or Norton Antivirus. Big companies use CrowdStrike. So CrowdStrike is, your government agencies, your targets, your corporate agencies.
My buddy Ernie in Hawaii, he sold a company very much like, it was like CrowdStrike's competitor, and made just bank on it. But he said, cybersecurity, that business it's tricky, and today it's getting even trickier. But I got to tell you, a lot of people are scared.
One update did all of this. One update, one content update, and that's where I kind of go. I understand that's how it works, but are you kidding? Like, we have our entire system set up to where one update is going to shut down the world.
That's what happens when you have organizations that get rid of competition, right? So if it's just Microsoft, right, and there's nobody else, really everybody's in trouble because everybody's using that. And that's the way it's set up. It would probably be a little better if, you maybe had a different kind of server that we're using and a different kind of, company that we were using. But hey, what are you going to do? Greed, corporate greed. It's a problem.
Well, I mean, it's like China making 93% of the pharmaceutical antibiotics, and 97% of the antibiotic, the active pharmaceutical ingredients.
Right.
It's kind of like that. It's like, if we disconnect to China, what happened? Where do the antibiotics go? Like that, it's so crazy that we are so dependent on so little. For the entire world is dependent on this thing or that thing or that thing, and that one thing goes out, and we're completely screwed.
Well, and to put things in perspective, so that, because I had a lot of people reaching out to me and everybody was, freaking out. When I woke up and I saw this, immediately, because I'm always trying to think, because, you're like me. What we do is we look down a little bit down the road. How long have you been doing this, by the way? For the people that don't know you, how long have you been doing this? How long have you been on YouTube, for example?
On YouTube since 2017.
Wow.
I've been doing this since 2003.
You're right. Right. What really kind of inspired you to get into YouTube in this niche world? Because this niche world is very small, and you're one of the bright ones. You're one of the ones that's kind of encouraging and really that doesn't play games with a bunch of nonsense, doesn't say, I know this for sure, unless it's true. But like, what really kind of got you, getting into this so people can kind of understand why you piece together all this stuff the way you do? I don't think people know, like, what motivated you, what really kind of got you here.
Well, I was into it because I was watching a lot of this kind of strange events that were going on in 2016 and 2017.
Freaky. Yeah.
And basically I saw that there was only a handful of people that were really covering this kind of thing. And the people that I was watching like basically every day.
Right.
A lot of them I saw, they kind of, it's like all of a sudden they stopped covering certain things, or they basically, they started taking on different kind of subjects, or once something wasn't popular, they just kind of went off to the next. I thought, this is kind of fakey. I said, I a lot of this stuff I was talking about and I was thinking about, I just decided that if there wasn't going to be somebody else that was doing it, that I'll talk about it, because nobody was talking about weird things like the train crashes. And
this guy was talking about weird stuff. This guy was talking about weird stuff. I remember when you were starting, and you and your sister, and you really grew and grew and grew, and now it's like, over the years, I don't think people realize that you and Dex both give me so much like tips and wisdom and everything else. And it's just, I'm grateful for it. I don't want to just sit here and really just kind of sing your praises, because I want to dig a little bit deeper into, this outage, because a lot of people are freaking out. Now, on my end, the way I see it, to have all of these things connect within the span of 1 year and 11 months, that's the 1111. Now, that's like my favorite number, right? So it's 13 months. 13 is that death card. 17 is that resurrection card. We got the 2 sets of cicadas. Numbers are like a big thing for me. It's a little woo-woo. It's out there. But the fact that you were in that video, I'm going to play the clip.
Marfoogle News, Marfoogle TV, you check it out. Adam, he texts me and he's like, oh, I'm having problems. I only have like the phone. I only have access to the phone. Like, everything's down.
But why am I talking about He-Man? Why am I talking about the Schumann resonance? Why are we talking about communications going down? And why did Donald Trump said the seal has been broken? And right there in Revelation chapter 8, right? Chapter 8, it says, and when he opened the 7th seal, and who was just talking at the event? Hulk Hogan, right? The Hulkster, He-Man himself, ironically, very strange. The Hulkster, and he was there. It was like 70 years, like 11 months and like 7 days or something. He turned. Very interesting. There's going to be silence in heaven for the space of a half an hour. And for what I took out of that was, spiritually speaking, there's going to be a short moment in time where people just can't hear from God, right? Because that's what it means. But I said, because it has to happen in the natural world, there has to be a representation of it. So I said, I think communications are going to go down. And then I go on to say, Adam and I were just talking about this, and it was 13 months ago. And here we are. And it's just...
Well, so by the way, this isn't like, this isn't just all traditional communications. This is like, this is all of the corporate end of things, the back end, the computer, the programs running everything, the
banking stuff,
physical
too, right?
computer. Yeah. Oh yeah, everything. So this would just be part, if it really goes down. So hell or high water in the next few months, this was just part of it. This was the computer part of that going down. This wouldn't end the world, even if it was a little bit bigger than that. This would cause massive, massive problems. But actually, communication, cell phone towers, that kind of thing, people are saying that there were issues with that today.
Right.
On their end of it, they've got computers too, running all of these things and connecting all of these things. But this would only be a kind of a part of this bigger event that would happen. And frankly, in the next 4 months, I believe hell or high water, they're not going to let, if T-Man ends up, winning, goes against everything. I don't think, I agree with Vivek that no matter what, they're going to try to keep that from happening, that is not going to happen, whatever they have to do. And that's kind of freaky because, as far as if he does get in, I know that you've had people on, and
I've been telling people since
who knows if that's a better thing.
Well, okay, so my belief is that it's 100% going to be a system of great control. much like how do you get people on track? If something impending is coming, you don't want to have a bunch of people voting on stuff. You want to be decisive, and Trump has said it many times. He said very clearly, he said, day one, I'm going to be a dictator as a joke. And then he said, it's like, maybe it's not really so great to have so many people arguing and so many votes. Maybe if like things are really bad or going to get bad, maybe we need something quick. We need somebody.
Again, Christians, get out and vote just this time. You won't have to do it anymore. 4 more years, you know what? It'll be fixed. It'll be fine. You won't have to vote anymore, my beautiful Christians. I love you, Christians. I'm a Christian. I love you. Get out. You got to get out and vote. In 4 years, you don't have to vote again. We'll have it fixed so good you're not going to have to vote.
It's weird. Do you watch The Boys at all? You ever watch that show on Amazon
yeah.
Prime? Did you watch the finale last night?
Is that the 8th episode? Yeah.
Yeah. You watched the 8th episode. I want to point that out too. Homelander, was based on Trump.
They had to put a warning on him on that show.
They had to.
Episode. Yeah.
Yeah, they changed the title. This series has mirrored what's going on. And what's really weird is I'm not going to give anybody any spoilers, but man, it's strange to see like all of this stuff being coded into not just entertainment, but everywhere now.
Well, they even said, did you catch the part where it says J6? They look at the piece of paper and they look at the plans for a J6 thing. I mean,
they had to put a disclaimer up,
Yeah, that wasn't an accident. That wasn't an accident at all. Yeah.
And he brought in, here's weird, Adam. I don't know if you know this, but for my birthday, I had a Fudgy the Whale because when the eclipse was going through that path and it was hitting Nineveh, and I was saying that everybody's worried the world's going to come to an end, but I feel like it's a story of Nineveh. Like enough people are going to kind of repent and God's going to kind of spare us and it will be bad, but it's not going to be the end of the world. And so Nineveh was a big thing. So I said, in honor of Nineveh and in honor of God protecting us, if you will, I'm going to get a Fudgy the Whale. I made a big deal out of Fudgy Whale, Fudgy Whale, Fudgy Whale. And what happens like 4 days after the show where I'm talking about that? Homelander comes in with a Fudgy the Whale. And then he brings his vengeance because I told everybody that this is what's happening. He's going to come in. Anybody who came against him, it's going to be, if they're corrupt, they're gone. It's going to be a clear in the house.
11 days after I aired that episode and 8 days after my birthday, where I shared this post that said, "No sign shall be given but Fudgy the Whale." In episode 4, titled Wisdom of the Ages, on Amazon Prime's The Boy, Homelander, a figure that is personified as Trump incarnate, brings to those who hurt him in the past a form of judgment. He brings them a Fudgy the Whale cake. He puts it before them all. He tells them how he remembers all the things that they had done to him. And so he shows them this cake, which I said was a sign of Jonah, a Fudgy the Whale.
Want to know something funny? This guy Walrus on X, he sent me a Fudgy the Whale picture, a close-up of what Homelander was carrying, and it said handmade. Like Handmaid's Tales coded into it. Handmade. I'm going, oh my goodness gracious. That's the future, Marf. That's why I tell everybody, you just better do a good thing, be a productive member of society. Sure, maybe there'll be votes and everything else.
I don't want to spoil it either, but basically it hints towards a roundup.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, it hints towards a roundup, and
yes, it does.
That's a fear a lot of folks.
Yeah, well, I mean, remember what Elon kept calling him? He said Sulla. He compared him to Sulla. He says no better. Sulla's like Santa. No better friend, no worse enemy. It's this is when he was shot Trump, or Elon put out a picture of Caesar being attacked. I mean, this is the Roman Empire all over again. This is the same thing. That's why I have a lot of faith and I get excited, because this is weird that you and I are talking about communications and the internet going down 13 months ago, right? And then boom, here we are. We're talking about it 13 months later. That's strange, man. That's just strange. What can people do? Can they do anything? I can't do anything. I mean, I have like food and water and stuff, but I mean, what can you do?
Well, no, and that's the thing. There's not much we can do. And by the way, I think we're going towards World War III, but I don't think it's the end of the world. I don't think that, like you said, you know, we get in these back and forths, whether you do think very positively and you hope that you think it's going to be a power struggle. And some days I think that you go back and forth thinking, man, this might actually happen.
Yeah.
I think that war is inevitable because even if P-Man does get in office, and because his whole promise is that once I get in, I'm going to make peace with everybody.
Right.
I think that there are so many plans at play with China, Russia, Iran, North Korea, Venezuela, Cuba. All of these things are already so advanced in the last 4 years that there's, even if he does get into office, he can't reverse it all. He's not God.
Yeah.
He's not.
Unless of course, there's a world order, and he's connected to that world order, and he's just going to be the guy for you. You know, and once again, I hate to use the Book of Revelation because people
he
start
can be part of it.
Yeah, he's like, he'd be part of it. You know, it would, like the dragon, give power to the beast, and there's this many-headed beast, and you know, it's people want to point this all out, but that's basically what would happen. The only way to get everybody on the planet together would be to have a world force. What did they have on stage? The bottom of the dollar bill, New World, right? Order has been fulfilled. I mean, that can't be by accident. You know, make America strong again, or something strong.
That was on the show too, by the way. That was
very interesting.
That was on the end of the boys as well.
I know.
Not great.
It's weird.
But with the Trump gets in office, and like I said, you know, everybody debates whether he could be a part of the whole system, and when he gets in there and the whole warp speed type thing, and everybody questions. Well, whatever is going to happen right now, I think that there's a huge event happening right in front of our eyes.
It is.
And some people see it, some people don't. I know you see it. I know that many of the people that watch us see it. We're watching massive changes. We just watched our former president almost get taken out.
I know.
I mean, Japan, they actually did watch their think about this. Japan just went through almost the same thing, only they were successful. They had their former president, a very beloved president, get taken out with the homemade shoddy. And in that case, it was successful. And guess what? That changed things massive. It didn't start a civil conflict, but what it did do is it turned Japan into a war machine. All of a sudden, his party won and all of that. All of these countries are signing treaties. I don't know if you've followed this, but all of our adversaries have now signed treaties in the last year, and all of our adversaries are signing treaties. These cyber events that are happening today, all of these things, like you say, we should have food and water. We should be praying.
That's a fact.
Reversed.
Now, here's the thing, right? Because I only got you for a minute. I want everybody to find you on YouTube. Best places, Marfoogle TV, Marfoogle News. I'll have links in the description. Adam, anything else you want to say real quick to people besides, just thanking them for being so cool? Because our audiences are basically the same. And I love them so much, I love them. Oh, and by the way, if you want to get any of the merch, you can go right into the links in the description of the video. If you want to support the channel, you want to be, you want to walk around with a superhero shirt on, that's the thing.
Get some Jacob merch. And I appreciate your Uranus cup. Everybody gets a kick out of that. So
it's a planet.
I really do appreciate you, Jacob, and thank you for having me on. I appreciate that.
Oh man, well listen, I'm gonna keep you in my prayers. Everybody's gonna be fine. It's gonna get very exciting. I definitely want to have you on again. I love you. I love Dex. I love your beautiful family. You really are a solid guy. Thank you so much for spending some time with me, brother. I wish I paid and I had more time to talk to you, but I'm cheap. I'll talk to you, brother. I love you, man. Bye-bye. Bye, buddy.
Bye.
September 10th. Mars hangs closer to the Earth than it has in 6,000 years. Like the light that led men from the east to a child in a manger, it could well be a sign of good things to come. Thomas James shall be his name. The world will change because of him. In the small town of Bethel, in a time not unlike our own, a child with a great purpose is born. Years later, alienated by his peers and abused, Thomas suffers a devastating loss. When it appears he has nothing left to live for in the world, this is when his true calling begins. While trying to escape the sinister powers that be, a terrifying vision haunts him. Miraculous events seem to follow the peculiar young man as he struggles to come to terms with what he was born to do. The stage is set. The time is at hand. The truth will rise and a revolution will begin. The startling revelation of who Thomas James is, truly, will change the lives of those around him and set off a chain of events long ago foretold. There is more to this novel than one might think. Inside these pages hides a treasure just waiting to be discovered. So if you've ever wondered if there's more to life, or why it is we suffer, then this story will not only captivate you, it may just open your eyes to a truth that could set you free. Find out what is in us all that makes us heed the calling.